This is AI Podcast, and today we're digging into a fresh AAAI paper called COGSQL. In one line, it's a cognition-inspired way to make large language models better at turning plain English into SQL.
So the quick takeaway first. What's the headline here?
Right. The authors show that if you guide an LLM through 3 human-like steps, you get more reliable SQL. Prepare first, then generate, then correct. Think of it as plan, draft, and revise.
Prepare, generate, correct. Sounds like how we write emails. Who's behind the work?
Led by Hongwei Yuan and Tang from Zhejiang University. A larger team, but we'll keep it simple.
Got it. Before we get into the details, set the stage for me. What still trips up text to SQL systems?
A few things. First, mapping messy natural language to the right tables and columns. That's called schema linking, and it's where models can hallucinate or pick the wrong field. Second, picking the right SQL structure. Do you need a join, a group by, a having clause? And third, making sure the result actually answers the question without subtle logic bugs.
So the gap is that many systems fix just one piece of that pipeline.
Exactly. Some methods focus on fancy prompts to parse the question. Others focus on cleaning up the SQL after the fact. But the pieces often don't talk to each other in a cohesive way.
And COGSQL stitches those pieces together in a way that's, more human.
That's the idea. The framework imitates how we think through a task. In the preparation step, it does 2 things. 1, a coarse-to-fine schema linking pass. It starts broad, finds candidate tables and columns, then narrows to the most likely ones. 2, it predicts high-level SQL keywords up front. So it might say, hey, this question smells like a group by with a having.
Like sketching an outline before writing the essay.
Perfect analogy. Then comes generation. The model writes the query, but with a nudge. They call it concept-enhanced chain of thought. The concepts from the prep step are injected into the model's reasoning, so it stays on track.
So instead of freewheeling, it's drafting with signposts. And the final step is correction, right?
Right. 2 flavors of checks. NLQ consistency asks, does this SQL actually answer the natural language question? Result consistency asks, do the outputs look sensible when you run it? If something's off, the system revises.
I like the analogy of a careful analyst. First, skim the schema and highlight where to look. Then, write the query based on that plan. Finally, run it and sanity check the output. If the top product is a negative price, you know you messed up.
Exactly. The paper shows this loop improves reliability across different benchmarks and different LLMs. The point is not just a bigger model, it's the workflow.
Can we talk about how they tested it at a high level?
Sure. They evaluate on standard text to SQL benchmarks and try multiple models to see if the framework is general. They also compare against strong baselines and analyze which parts of the pipeline matter.
And the story that comes out of those experiments is that the 3-step loop is doing real work.
Yes. The results suggest that organizing the steps cognitively helps the model avoid early mistakes and catch later bugs. It's the combination that pays off.
Let's make it concrete. Suppose I ask, show the average review score for each movie genre, but only include genres with at least 10 reviews. What does COGSQL do differently?
In preparation, it would flag candidate tables like movies, reviews, and genres, and it would predict structural hints like group by and having. In generation, the model drafts the SQL with those hints, so it's more likely to include the having count greater than 10. In correction, it might notice that the join missed the bridge table, fix that, and rerun to check the results align with the question.
That's helpful. What about where this fits relative to past work?
Prior approaches did slices of this, prompt recipes to improve question understanding, fine-tuning for better SQL grammar, self-correction passes that fix syntax or small logic errors. The limitation is that without a shared plan up front and a disciplined review at the end, you can still wander or miss contradictions.
Right. A single brilliant paragraph doesn't save a bad outline. Any flags or caveats you'd raise?
A few. Multi-step pipelines add latency and cost due to extra model calls. Replicability can hinge on prompts and orchestration details, so clear artifacts matter. Also, curated benchmarks are cleaner than messy enterprise databases, so it's important to test on tougher settings too.
So the promise is clear, but we want to see profiling for speed and dollars, and trials on messier data.
Exactly. Also, result consistency can be subtle. Running a query and getting an answer is not the same as answering the question. The consistency checks need to be thoughtful to avoid rubber stamping.
If you were extending this work, where would you go next?
First, multi-turn conversations. Many real users refine queries over several turns, so the plan, draft, revise loop should carry context forward. Second, larger and noisier databases. Things like hundreds of tables, dialect quirks, or partial documentation. Third, tighter integration with database tooling. For example, using the catalog and query planner to inform schema linking or validating constraints before running expensive queries.
I'd add cost awareness. Maybe a lightweight preparation pass most of the time, and escalate to deeper correction only when signals suggest risk. Sort of a triage nurse for queries.
I like that. And I'd love to see more open evaluations that share prompts, error breakdowns, and failure cases. It helps the community build on the idea.
Before we wrap, let's circle back to the big picture. What should listeners remember from COGSQL?
The takeaway is simple. Treat text to SQL like a human would. First align on the schema and the structure you'll need, then generate with those anchors, and finally check your work against the question and the result. That cognitive rhythm beats a one-shot guess.
Plan, draft, revise. For SQL, it's elegant, it's practical, and it nudges models toward trustworthy answers.
That's COGSQL in a nutshell. If you're building natural language access to data, this is a pattern worth adopting.
Thanks for listening to AI Podcast. We'll link the paper in the show notes, and we'll be back soon with more research over coffee.
See you next time.